What is going on, Bills Mafia? Happy Victory Monday once again as the Buffalo Bills completely dominated the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle on Sunday, winning by a final score of 31-10. And better yet, they got some help as the Patriots beat the Jets 25-22. The Cardinals beat the Dolphins 28-27. And now the Bills have a commanding 3.5 game lead in the AFC East, with the Miami Dolphins coming to town next Sunday on November 3rd. And I mean, look at this. This is just beautiful, as it is not even November yet. People are already saying how the Bills essentially clinched the division. Now, I understand there's still a lot of season left, so I'm not going to call it just yet. But look at that right there. 6-2. Miami is 2-5. You look at the Jets. People were crowning them the division champions all throughout the summer, and they are a dumpster fire right now. You know, they go through just about everything that they could have possibly went through. They fired the head coach. They demote the offensive coordinator. They strip him of his play calling duties. They trade for Devontae Adams. Aaron Rodgers calls this guy out. Aaron Rodgers calls that guy out. And you know what? Where has it gotten them? To the complete bottom. And like I said, they are a complete mess right now. And it is a beautiful thing to see. And once again, the Buffalo Bills did what they had to do. And now they come back home to face the Miami Dolphins in a big matchup. But before we get into that matchup, let's talk about what happened yesterday in Seattle. So the game started with the Seahawks getting the ball. They ran 3 plays, went 1 yard, and took 62 seconds of clock. They punted to the Bills, and this is where the Bills went on a 14-play, 90-yard drive that took over 9 minutes of clock, and it ended with the Keon Coleman beautiful contested catch touchdown over Tariq Woolen, too, and he gave him the little man celebration, patted him on the helmet, and I mean, what a move from the rookie there, and that's why the Bills drafted him, right? Big-bodied, basketball background, make those contested catches. And Keon Coleman is really coming into form here. We'll get to him more throughout this little broadcast here, but I want to keep the play-by-play moving here, but really impressed from what I've seen with Keon Coleman so far. So the Bills are up 7-0. Seattle gets the ball back. 3 plays, 2 yards, a minute 30. So they doubled their production, right? They went an extra yard. But, I mean, that was the story of the day as they punted back to the Bills. The Bills punted back to Seattle. They did get a field goal. And then Josh Allen threw his first interception in 301 pass attempts. But the Bills got it right back as they caused a turnover on downs. Geno Smith slipped. He tripped over his own 2 feet. The Bills get the ball back. They go 12 plays, 93 yards in 4.5 minutes. And Josh Allen finds Dalton Kincaid for a 7-yard touchdown pass. And that pretty much was it as the Bills went into the half with the 14-3 lead. So the Bills get the ball to start the second half. They run 11 plays. They go 69 yards, take up 6.5 minutes of clock. Tyler Bass converts on the field goal, so the Bills go up 17-3. Then a wonderful interception here. The Bills' backups were just wreaking havoc as the Bills were able to get the ball back early in the third quarter. Now, this started with A.J. Epinesa getting the pressure. Casey Toohill got his big arms up there, got the deflection, and then Austin Johnson with his first ever career interception gives the Bills the ball back with great field position. They go on a 7-play, 51-yard drive, and that ends with the James Cook 2-yard touchdown run. So the Bills have a commanding 24-3 lead, and that was pretty much all she wrote, as they did get another touchdown with James Cook. That was a 7-play, 73-yard drive that took just under 4 minutes of clock. That was a 7-yard touchdown run. So Kincaid's was 12 yards in the first half. James Cook had the 7-yard touchdown run, and then that made it 31-3. And you have ball cap Josh Allen, one of the most wonderful sights. As much as we like seeing Josh Allen in shorts, ball cap Josh Allen is just as good, if not better. The Seahawks did manage to get a touchdown. Both teams exchanged a couple of punts, and that was the end of the game. So the Bills get out of Seattle with a 31-10 victory. Now, the theme of this game here was just how the Bills went into a tough environment, right? Seattle is one of the toughest places to play. That is one of the longest flights in the NFL, going from Buffalo to Seattle. And they had terrible conditions, too. It was raining pretty good there. And they just completely blew the doors off of the Seahawks, just utter domination. So they outgained Seattle 145-12 in terms of total yards at the end of the first quarter. By halftime, it was 224-96. And then by the end of the game, the Bills outgained the Seahawks 445-233. Now, I tweeted this following the game, and I said that the Bills held the Seahawks to 233 total yards and just 32 rushing yards while forcing 2 turnovers. Keep in mind that Seattle was the top passing offense in the league going into this week, and they were 8th in scoring, averaging over 25 points per game. huge credit to Sean McDermott and Bobby Babbage for having a great defensive game plan, and also a huge credit for the players for executing it as well. And as I noted here, I know the Seahawks were without DK Metcalf, but don't forget that the Bills were also without middle linebacker and defensive captain Terrell Bernard and Dwayne Carter, who has been playing some very, very good football as of late. So the way that McDermott and Babbage were able to scheme guys up, these disguise coverages, just different blitz packages, right? They threw some dime in there. I saw Cam Lewis out there making plays. As I noted with Epinesa and Tuhill and Austin Johnson, you had Eli Anku at practice squad elevation. And to be honest, I realized after the game that Bernard didn't play. Like, obviously, I knew that he didn't play, but they didn't even miss a beat once again. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. Terrell Bernard didn't even play today just because they were that dominant. So, again, they were forcing turnovers, creating pressure. Everyone was stepping up, and they get Von Miller coming back next week to face the Dolphins. Now, I've been talking about the defense a lot here. I wanted to go back to the offense because I mentioned earlier that I want to talk about Keon Coleman, and I think he has to be one of the highlights of this game. He has to be one of the storylines because I don't think it's a coincidence that ever since Amari Cooper arrived in Buffalo, Keon Coleman's numbers have skyrocketed. And I think that he is really just settling into life in the NFL right now. And I think that he has that more advantageous role, right? Because you get a guy like Amari Cooper on the other side, and the defense has to pay so much attention to him that opens up things for Keon. It also opens up things for Khalil Shakir or Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox. All of those guys make big plays today too. So if you look at the box score, Khalil Shakir led the Bills, 9 catches, 107 yards. Keon Coleman, 5 catches, 70 yards and a touchdown. Knox added 50 yards on 2 grabs. And then Kincaid had 4 catches, 31 yards, and a touchdown. And the beautiful thing is, Amari Cooper only had 3 yards on 1 catch and 1 target. So, yeah, you want to see Amari Cooper eat, right? Like, that's what we've been saying. He's a wide receiver one, a main contributor to this offense. But honestly, I am completely fine with that stat line because it's opening up everything else for all those other guys that I just mentioned. Mac Hollins, yeah, he didn't have a catch, but he made a big play on special teams. Buffalo Joe Andreessen, he also made a play on special teams. So I guess all that being said, just a great complete team victory today for the Bills. Complimentary football, as Sean McDermott says. It was really, really good to see. And how about Bills Mafia? I don't know if they made I do know that there are a lot of fans that made the trip out there, but I'm sure they have some fans out there, right? Bills Mafia lives in tons of different places around the country, around the world. So I'm sure there are a lot of Bills fans that live out in the Pacific Northwest, but the way that they just kind of took over that stadium, and Seattle is known for the 12th man, I'm pretty sure that the Bills had the original 12th man. So that was good to see how the Bills were able to kind of take that back on Sunday. So, as I already mentioned, next up is the Miami Dolphins as Tua Tagovailoa is back under center for them. And the Bills open up as 6-point favorites in Orchard Park November 3rd. I believe the weather is supposed to be nice. I know throughout the whole week we're going to see 75 and sunny temperatures and conditions. So hopefully that extends into the weekend. And hopefully Sean McDermott can come up with another great defensive scheme for this Dolphins offense, as he usually does. And we know how Josh Allen usually feasts against his Dolphins defense. So it should be a fun week of preparation. We also have the trade deadline coming up on November 5th. So there is going to be a lot of content coming out this week. And can't wait for it. As you know, let's just look at these standings once again, because why not? So there the Bills are at the top, 6-2. The Dolphins 2-5, Patriots 2-6, Jets 2-6. They are playing the Texans on Thursday Night Football. So the Bills have a great chance to widen their gap here in the AFC East standings as we are just going into early November. So pretty cool to see, after so many people already wrote the Bills off and said that it was a Jets division or it was a Dolphins division. This division still runs through Buffalo. And again, it's still early. A lot can happen. But if the Bills keep playing like this, then the sky is the limit, because I think that this team is really clicking. As I said, now that Amari Cooper's here, everyone is settling into those roles on offense. And then you have the defensive players where it kind of just seems to be seamless sometimes, where you go down Terrell Bernard and you can just plug and play. Balin Spector, didn't really mention him today, but just an overall team effort. And the other big thing that I didn't mention, no injuries today, at least that we know of. Maybe Sean McDermott's going to tell us otherwise, but to our knowledge, the Bills did not suffer any injuries on Sunday. So hopefully they just continue to get more healthy. They can get Terrell Bernard back, Dwayne Carter, eventually Matt Milano, and should be a fun couple of weeks here. Thanks again for tuning in to another edition of Cuse's Corner. Make sure to follow me at Kevin_Syracuse. Be sure to follow my personal YouTube channel at Kevin Syracuse, and be sure to follow the Built in Buffalo channel on all of our platforms as well.